children, continuing with the animal tissues, this is a brief classification of the animal tissues, which are of 4 types, namely epithelial tissues, connective tissues, muscular tissues, and the nervous tissues. Epithelial is further of these types, that is squamous, cuboidal, columnar, ciliated, and glandular. And connective is of the following types: areolar, adipose, tendon, ligament, cartilage, bone, and blood. The muscular tissues of 3 types, that is striated muscles, smooth muscles, and the cardiac muscles. And nervous tissue is present in the body, which enables us to conduct the messages from one part of the body to another. Now, talking about the general features of the epithelial tissue, children. The cells in the epithelial tissue are present very close to each other because it has to perform the protective function. So they are tightly packed and they form continuous sheets. Then a small amount of cementing material is present between the cells. There is very little or no intercellular spaces, because if there would be any spaces, there would be invasion of the parasitic fungi or bacteria, so which will damage the body. So they are tightly packed cells and there is no intercellular space between the cells. Then the blood and the lymph vessels are absent. The free surface of the tissue is exposed to an air cavity or to some fluid, and the cells of the epithelial tissue are placed over a thin extracellular fibrous membrane, which is called as the basement membrane. So these are the general features or the important features of the epithelial tissue. Now, talking about the various types of the epithelial tissue. So this we will be studying in the form of the structure, the location, and the function of these tissues. So accordingly, you will be you have your notes given to your children. You will be filling it up in your copy. So the first of all, we have the simple squamous tissue. So where is it present? That is its location. The cells of this tissue are forming the lining of the blood vessels or the lung alveoli. You know, in lungs, there are those cells where exchange of gases occurs. So they are said to be alveoli. So this is present in the blood vessels and the lung alveoli. Also, the esophagus, that is a food pipe, and the lining of the mouth also are covered with the simple squamous tissue. Then, the structure of this tissue, the structure of the cells of this tissue, talking about that. So the cells of this tissue are extremely thin and flat, and they form a delicate lining, right? And function is, what do? They help in the transportation of substances, which occurs through a selectively permeable surface, and there is a simple flat kind of epithelium. So that's very simple, just for the transportation of the material through the selectively transportation of substance occurs through selectively permeable surface, and there is a simple flat kind of epithelium. Then we have the stratified squamous. Stratified means many strata or many layers. So this is present in the skin. So the structure is, that is, the skin epithelial cells are arranged in many layers. Since they are arranged in a pattern of layers, the epithelium is also called as stratified squamous. And the function is, the skin which protects the body is made up of squamous epithelium, okay, and that is a stratified squamous, and this prevents the wear and tear. Then next we have the columnar epithelium. Where is it present? It's located in the inner lining of the intestine, okay, and the structure is that they are having the tall cells. You can see over here. So these are the tall cells which are present, and they help in the function. They're tall pillar-like, and their function is that they help in the absorption and the secretion, which occurs through this columnar epithelium. It facilitates the movement of substances across the epithelial barrier. Then we have the ciliated columnar. Now that is, the cells are columnar only, but they have cilia over them. Okay, cilia are present, which are hair-like extensions. So what is the function? Where is it present? It is present in the respiratory tract. Okay, and the function, like as the structure I told you, columnar cells which have cilia, which are hair-like projections on the outer surface of the epithelial cells. So the function of this is that the cilia can move, and their movement helps to push the mucus forward to clear the respiratory tract. Otherwise, the respiratory tract would get blocked up. So for the proper clearing of the respiratory tract, these cilia, they move the mucus forward so that the respiratory tract is clear. Then next we have the cuboidal epithelium. Now this cuboidal epithelium also, where is it present? It is present in the lining of the kidney tubules and the ducts of the salivary glands, right? And the structure is that it has got the cube-shaped cells, right? And you can see over here, these are the cube-shaped cells, And what is the function? It provides the mechanical support. Then we have the next, the glandular epithelium. The glandular epithelium is present. What is its structure? Sometimes a portion of the epithelial tissue, it folds inward, okay, and it forms a multicellular gland which secretes certain substances. For example, we have the sweat glands and we have the oil glands which can secrete substances at the epithelial surface. So you can see these are the diagrams of the squamous epithelium: flat cells, cuboidal, cube shaped, then columnar are tall cells, and stratified squamous is many layers of cells which form mainly the skin. Coming to the next tissue of the animal tissue, that is the connective tissue. So this connective tissue is also of many types, right? So the first is the blood. Now this is the liquid connective tissue. It has a fluid matrix. Now what is there in connective tissue? They have a fluid, they have a matrix in which the cells are embedded. So this matrix is different according to the different functions a connective tissue has to perform. So since the blood has to be flowing, it is fluid. So the matrix of the blood is fluid form, that is plasma, and the components or the cells are RBC and the white BC, WBC, white blood cells, and the platelets which are suspended in it. Now what is the function? You know that plasma, it contains proteins and salts and hormones, and blood, it flows and transports gases, digested food, hormones, and other waste materials to different parts of the body. The next connective tissue is bone. It is a strong and non-flexible tissue because it has to support the body. It has to provide the structural strength to the body. So this is non-flexible. And the bone cells are embedded in a hard matrix, children, because bones have to be strong, bones have to be hard. So to provide the framework to the body. And that is composed of, the matrix is composed of calcium and phosphorus compounds. So what is the function? The function is it forms a framework that supports the body. It also anchors, that means it also supports the muscles or attaches the muscles and supports the main organs of the body. The next, ligament. So this tissue is also, this is also in a connective tissue, but it is elastic and it has a considerable strength, okay, and they contain very little matrix. And the function is that two bones can be connected to each other by the help of this tissue. So wherever two bones have to be connected, it is this ligament which connects them. Then next is tendons. Now the tendons are fibrous tissue which have great strength but limited flexibility, okay, and the function is that they connect muscles to the bones, and they are also another type of connective tissue. And we have next is the cartilage. This has got widely spaced cells. The solid matrix is composed of proteins and sugars. What is its function? It smoothens the bone surfaces at the joints. You know, children, where the two bones join, that's a joint, and there the smoothing is done with the help of this cartilage. And also this is present in the tip of your nose, the earlobe, the trachea, that is your windpipe, and the larynx. The next is areolar tissue. This is found between the skin and the muscles. It is found around the blood vessels and the nerves and in the bone marrow. The function is it fills the spaces inside the organs and it supports the internal organs and helps in the repair of tissues. And we have next the adipose tissue. This is found just below the skin and between the internal organs. And the cells of this tissue are filled with flat globules, okay? And what is the function? So because adipose means function of fat, function also storage of fat is there. So function is it stores fats and also lets it act as an insulator. Children, fats are insulators and they protect us, they provide us with heat. So they are said to be the insulators. So adipose tissue stores the fats. So you can see over here, this is the figure of the cartilage. So widely spaced cells, which are called as, the cells of the cartilage is called as chondrocytes. Then we have over here the figures of the various types of connective tissue. This is the figure of the bone, which is very compact, as you know. It provides the framework, it is hard and it has got a dense matrix. Then we have the various types of the blood vessels, blood cells, that is they are the lymphocytes, the monocytes, platelets, basophil, eosinophil and neutrophil. So these are the different type of blood corpuscles. Then this is the type of adipose tissue. You can see this, the fat droplet or flat goblet is there. And then the areolar tissue, you can see over here the structure of the areolar tissue. So these are the various types of the connective tissue, that is which connect the body, the parts of the body. Now next is the muscular tissue. As told to you earlier, that this is of three types. This is the striated muscles, the unstriated, and the cardiac muscles. Now, so depending upon the structure, location, and function, we have these three different types of the muscular tissue. So what about the striated tissue? First, talking about the structure of these tissues. These muscles show alternate dark and light bands or the striations, and as a result they are also called as the striated muscles. Whereas the unstriated ones, they are long with pointed ends, that is a spindle shaped, and they are spindle shaped. And cardiac muscles also are cylindrical and branched, but they are uninucleate. Unstriated are also uninucleate, whereas the striated muscles, they are having multinuclei, and the cells of this tissue are long, cylindrical, and unbranched. So you can see over here the figure of these three types of the muscular tissue. So this is the striated muscles. You can see this the alternate dark and light bands and many nuclei. And over here you can see the spindle shaped muscles. These are the unstriated muscles, okay, uninucleate. And these are the cardiac muscles, which are also uninucleate. They are branched and they are present in the heart. So this is the difference in the structure of the three types of the muscular tissues. Now talking about the location. So this the striated muscles, they are present in the limbs and in the neck. So they allow the voluntary or the movement of these parts. Whereas unstriated, they are found in the iris of the eye, and they are found in the ureters. Ureters are the pipes of the tubes which carry the urine from the kidneys to the urinary bladder. In the bronchi of the lungs, that is the windpipe, you know, when it enters the chest cavity, it divides into two to go to each lung. So they are said to be bronchus, and plural is bronchi. Then we have the blood vessels, the alimentary canal. So these are the places where the unstriated muscles are present. And the cardiac muscles are present, as the name suggests, in the heart. Now talking about the function. The function of the striated muscles is, or the skeletal muscles they're also called as they're mostly attached to the bones. They help in the body movement, as the limb movement in our body are in our control. So they're also called as voluntary muscles. Whereas the movement of the food in the alimentary canal, the contraction and relaxation of the blood vessels, etc., are all involuntary movement. That is, they are not within our control. They happen on their own, and they are carried out by the smooth muscles. Whereas the cardiac muscles also, they are involuntary, and they allow the rhythmic contraction and relaxation throughout the life. So they are also the involuntary muscles. So the heart muscles or the cardiac muscles also belong to the category that they are the involuntary muscles. Now coming now to the last tissue, that is the nervous tissue. Now last tissue of the animals, that is the nervous tissue. So this nervous tissue is present in the brain, in the spinal cord, and in all the nerves. So the smallest unit of this tissue is the neuron. As you can see, this is the neuron, structure of the neuron, which consists of mainly two parts, that is the cell body or the cyton, and a tail-like structure which is called as axon. Now the cell body or the cyton has branched fiber-like structures which are called as dendrites, and this long tail-like structure is called as axon. Okay, and there is a presence of a nucleus in the cytome, and the cytoplasm is there, and the sheath of the axon is not smooth. So you can see it is myelin sheath which has got the nodes of Ranvier, and these are the nerve endings. So what is the function of the neuron or the nervous tissue is to conduct the messages from one part of the body to another. So this enables us to have the sensations or to have a feeling of hunger, or when we are having some pain and all that. So this is because of the sensations which are perceived by the nervous tissue. So this is the tissue which also has the units, the neurons, as we've talked earlier. So they are long and branched because they have to carry the messages over the long distances. So that's all we have about the four types of the animal tissues.